Well, this Saturday marks the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina making landfall in and around New Orleans.
It was one of the worst natural disasters in American history, causing more than $100 billion in damage and killing more than 1,800 people. One Minnesota Viking player was just a teenager then, in the middle of it all. As David McCoy tells us, his memories of what happened are still vivid and impact him 10 years later.
As Hurricane Katrina headed toward land, Ice and Faciane's family hurried to leave. Their home in Slidell, just outside of New Orleans, where 14-year-old Isom lived with his grandparents, was directly in the path of the storm.
And my grandfather, he was like, Dolores, we got to get out of here.
But they soon realized traffic was so gridlocked they wouldn't be able to.
Traffic is backed up through Mississippi.
So instead, they headed for higher ground, at the hotel where his uncle worked on the other side of town.
The storm hit, and you hear all the wind and the rain just rolling through, and it continued through the morning.
As Katrina made landfall around 10 a.m., Isom and his sister and cousins stood on the balcony of their hotel room, watching the wind and the rain pound against the hotel across the street.
We watching the wind blow it down, so we're like, oh, we in this hotel right here, that could happen to us, so we freaking out.
The eye of the hurricane passed directly over Slidell, but their hotel was spared. The southern half of the city, though, was underwater.
It hit that area pretty hard.
As the water began to recede the next day, Isom and his family started the 3.5 miles back toward home.
We get to the house, and we go in there, everything's just turned upside down, everything's all falling over each other. We walk through the house, hey, we lost everything.
The floodwater was gone by the time they'd arrived, but it left behind clear evidence of where it had been. A visible line on the walls, nearly 7 feet high. Only the pictures on the highest part of the walls could be saved. The house, which had been in his family for generations and his grandmother herself had grown up in, was a total loss.
The frustration that many expressed toward FEMA in the aftermath was personal for Isom's family. It took 3 months to bring them a FEMA trailer.
So you lived in the flooded house?
Yes. I want to say FEMA didn't bring the trailer until the end of November, and around December. I remember it was cold. It was real cold in the house. We had little space heaters around to keep us warm and stuff.
And then things got even worse. His grandfather Ellis got sick, and doctors found a lemon-sized tumor on his brain, terminal cancer.
A lot of stuff going. I'm in 8th grade at the time, so a lot of this stuff going on. Man, I gotta man up myself,
His family lived in the FEMA trailer for nearly 2 years until his grandparents could finally find a new place. And then his grandfather passed away.
As I took responsibility of helping out more around the house, when I got to school and stuff, school was that was my escape from everything. I wasn't really even just concentrating on school. It was just I'm out the house, I could be a kid again, you know what I'm saying?
10 years later, Isom is now very much grown up. It's not the kind of milestone you celebrate, but Katrina, he says, very much shaped who he turned out to be.
It definitely made me stronger, tougher, It made me, mature earlier, and just appreciate little things more. I would never ever thought something like that would happen, to lose everything that you had. But looking back on it, it's how far I've come.
It's something he wanted to remind himself of every day.
This is what I've been through.
Wearing his heart on, well, where his sleeve would be.
This is actually the hurricane right here on my elbow. And right here, this is my grandmother's house that we grew up in.
There's a car underwater, a truck in a tree, trees and power lines falling, and a man sinking in the water, a thought that motivates him to make something of the life he's been given.
The storm and everything that came with it definitely built my character, so it made me a stronger person.
Isom was a member of the Vikings practice squad last season as a defensive lineman. He is hoping to make the roster this fall on the offensive line.